Now, right off the bat, I want to ask about the casting of Jesus Christ and what you think, or what you guys were thinking when you made those choices and when you were, doing the scenes.
Well, I think for me, I didn't want to cast Nicholas Pinnock as Jesus of Nazareth at all. Because I know Nicholas for like 15, 16 years, right? He's a friend of mine. So I don't want to tell this guy, hey, man, I think you're Jesus. Man, I'm like, F that dude. You ain't playing Jesus. But he accidentally, but probably accidentally on purpose, read one of the lines of Jesus in my house. And we were talking about another character, and I was like, oh my God, that's exactly how I envisaged Jesus sounding. I wish he didn't do that right now. I was like, nah. And I looked at him, and I was like, no. I don't like giving my friends compliments. I was like, nah, I'm not casting you as Jesus. I don't even want to play Jesus. What's your problem? I don't want to cast you as Jesus. But he was just so Jesus-y. And anyway, so he got cast as Jesus, and it was awesome. And, casting Benedict's character as the character he plays whenever this is released was, just a joy that he would embrace it as well. It's very daring. It has its arc. It was just a joy. It's just one of those moments where you really appreciate what you do. Working with LaKeith, you appreciate what you do all the time because he's just as bonkers as me. But when I cast Benedict, when we were on set with him, it was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah. Coming off that question, you guys obviously have a lot of fun with this story and being able to do whatever you want. So what do you think is going to be kind of the most controversial point for some audiences?
I think that sometimes on the surface of movies, when you haven't been able to dive into them, you can have preconceived notions. And I think diving into this, I think people will be pleasantly surprised that it isn't something that is directly rooted in Scripture or rooted in the Bible or any, rooted in religion. It's actually just rooted in a story about a man and his redemption, his personal story, his personal redemption, who lived down the street, might have lived down the street from Jesus, but is not Jesus. And so I think they'll be pleasantly surprised to see that this movie is much more universal, much more open than they might have thought. I think sometimes, especially on the internet, we're apt to take bits and pieces of things and then think like we running with it and we know exactly what's going to go on. So I think they'll be pleasantly surprised to see that the universe of this is much more open than they might have thought. And so I'm excited for that.
And not really controversial at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that'll be good. LaKeith, I want to ask you real quick, a little pivot. You played Elle in Netflix's Death Note, and they're doing a sequel, which is in development. Have you heard anything about that and when you might be back in that role? Got a glare, so that's a quote.
I've heard about this, yes.
Yeah. Well, that's, that's there. Hopefully, it happens, and we'll see you again.
This, yes.
So then, my last question. If you could choose any other biblical event with the same, quirky, fun style, what would you want to explore?
If we spoke about Clarence being that I would place him in the Moses days, but if I was doing something kind of like quirky and fun,
you got to do Noah's Ark.
Could you imagine Noah's Ark?
It's like all those animals and all those fish. How crazy it would be.
Clarence would be allergic to 90% of those animals. Noah's Ark, or like Samson and Delilah. Firstly, Clarence ain't letting Delilah anywhere near his hair.
No.
You know those ones? No. Stop. Yeah. Be gone. I don't know, man. There's so the great thing about Clarence is you can put him in
anywhere,
in anywhere. And also, something tells me this isn't the last we've seen of Clarence.